Welcome to the Level 5 Diploma in Education and Training. My name is Matthew Reynolds from the Education and Training Academy, and I'm going to walk you through the Level 5 Diploma and what to expect and the way that you should approach your diploma. So dual professionalism. What is dual professionalism? So dual professionalism means remaining current in your own subject and your teaching practice. So we are all aware that we need to maintain our sector experience. But an issue a lot of trainers have is they forget that they need to remain current in their teaching practice as well. So it's not a case of just remaining up to date in your skills for your main subjects, but it ensures that you remain up to date with your teaching practice. This is learning new theories, learning new ways to approach teaching, and learning new ways to get the most out of your learners. So why complete the DET? So there are 5 main reasons, and they should be to become better trainer and provide better training. These should be the core reasons why you complete the DET. So you also can help to improve your career prospects. So again, employers will look for trainers who can teach at a higher level, and with that you can actually earn more money. So as an employer myself, I will hire teachers at a higher level and will pay them accordingly. Again, more qualified. So the more qualified you are, the more attractive you're going to be to future employers. And again, if you're working for a company, the more attractive you're going to be for potential clients as well. So if you're a beginner, you should be looking at the level 3 AET and potentially the CAVA. This is the entry into teaching. When you're further into your journey, so you're looking at intermediate, so 2 to 3 years into your teaching, you should be looking along the lines of the level 4 CET to take your teaching practice to the next level. And if you're serious about training, and you've been teaching for a few years now, you should contemplate looking at your level 5 DET, IQA qualification, and even your EQA qualification if you're looking to make a full-time career out of teaching. Sadly, a lot of teachers remain at the level 3 stage. They don't really look to develop their own teaching practice. If we go back to completing your AET, it's all about reflective practice and improving your teaching, and the DET just does just that. So why are DET versus others? So if you look on the left-hand side, there are 4 mandatory models. So it's theories, principles, and models in education and training, developing teaching, learning and assessment in education and training, teaching, learning and assessment in education and training, and wider professional practice and development in education and training. These 4 mandatory modules will be included in any DET that you take. So regardless if that's with us at the Education and Training Academy, or any other training provider, they must include those 4 key modules. Now, the key thing to look at is the additional modules or the additional units that you need to undertake. So a lot of training providers, and especially the cheap ones, what they'll do is just give you the 4 mandatory models and they'll set you with an action plan module. So that's just you researching your own stuff and then just doing that into a bigger module, and that's your DET. It doesn't really give you any value, and if you really value your training, you need to look beyond the basics and actually look at the core modules that are offered as part of the diploma. Now, equality and diversity. This is critical for any teacher. And if you're serious about teaching, especially going down the routes of management, you need to ensure that you meet equality and diversity requirements. And this might include providing reasonable adjustments for your learners, and then valuing the differences between them. And this module is quite incredible actually, and can be the difference between you attracting new customers so you can get more people through your doors, more learners, and then it's also about valuing those individuals who are on your courses to then give you a better reputation, more referrals, again, which works better for any business. A key module which we look at is the understanding and managing behaviours in the learning environment. So what are disruptive behaviours? And it can be something silly such as a learner who talks too much, but we go much deeper into this, which a lot of training providers don't. So we talk about SEND, so special needs, learning disabilities, so autism, ADHD, dyslexia. So we go into these in a lot of detail, and we provide you with a toolkit of how you can overcome and how you could deal with these difficult behaviours. Delivering employability skills. So teaching is all about how we prepare your learners for the workplace. And within this module, we look at how we can develop wider skills. So what skills is needed for future employment? So within your subjects, what are core skills outside of the actual subject knowledge do they need to be successful? And that's what we look at, and that's how we incorporate into our training. Preparing for the personal tutoring role is about you being central to your learners' study. So not necessarily you teaching them, but you giving them that support that they need to help them through the program. So that could be a short course, which is 1 day or 2 days, or it can be a long 12-month course or even 3 years if you're in university, where you can guide your learners through any difficulties they may have or any issues they have to help ensure that they don't drop out and they actually meet their potential. Preparing for the coaching role is a really good module, especially if you're looking into further careers or you want to go into a different sector. So coaching, this could be you coaching other teachers, it could be you coaching your subjects, so leaders, and it's all about how you help individuals and strategies to help them to reach their own targets. And this actually will open up a different career opportunity for you as well. Then we have the mentoring role. So as a teacher, especially when you complete the DET, you should be looking to become a mentor to fulfill your own needs. So if we go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once you got through the basics of food, safety, you'll move up the ladder and you'll go into reaching your potential, which is giving back. And not know that you give back as a teacher, but can you give back to other teachers or to trainees who are in your subjects or in your organization to help them meet their potential as well? And it's really rewarding. Understanding the principles and practices of internally assuring the quality of assessment, which is also known as IQA, and you should be familiar with this already. So becoming an IQA puts you at the top of the recruitment ladder because training providers need someone who can manage their own courses within an organization. So this will make you much more employable, but at the same time will open up new opportunities where you can actually do a lot of additional work outside of teaching, even in the comfort of your own home, to earn yourself some extra money. And a lot of our learners go on, once they've done the IQA, is they'll take on a lot of extra work. It actually pays for the DET itself. But the best thing about it is that we actually teach you how to be an IQA properly. I know a lot of IQAs out there that don't really know what they're doing, and their sort of objective is to just sign off paperwork at the end of a course, so yeah, it's fine. Well, actually, it goes into more detail than that. If that's sort of your idea of what an IQA is, you really need to do this, because actually we teach you the process from how to start the course, monitoring throughout the learner journey, and then improvement at the end to ensure that it meets the subject and the qualification requirements as well. Understanding the principles and practices of externally assuring the quality of assessment as an EQA. So you're looking at your IQA practices from an EQA perspective. And the good thing about this module is that it allows you to work for an awarding organisation as an EQA. So this is sort of the entry requirement for you to become an EQA if that's what you wanted to do as well. So this is, again, is a good qualification because it can open up new career doors. And again, it helps you to get direct claim status because it shows you the ways that EQAs, or what the awarding bodies are looking for to meet the qualification requirements. And from a personal point of view as well, just by you being an EQA puts you again at the top of the career ladder, because people or companies, they really value the process of an EQA. And again, if you're looking for a job or you're looking for extra work, if you're a qualified EQA, it kind of shows that not only do you understand the IQA practices, you also understand it from an awarding body perspective, and it helps to improve the quality of assessment. Lastly, we have identifying the needs of organizations. So this is you going into a organization, not so much your own organization, although it does work for your own organization. It's going into potential clients and saying, right, where do you want to be in 12 months' time? Where do you want to be in 3 years' time? And you'll come up with training plans to help them meet those needs. And the best thing about this is that every single company needs a learning needs analysis. So this can actually open up a different sector for you, even if you're running your own company or if you're a freelance trainer. It means you can go into different organizations and then come up with solutions of how these companies can meet their goals. And better yet, you're going to be in the perfect place to help them to put together a curriculum, put together a course, and then deliver that course for them, which opens up more opportunities, more avenue for increasing your pay. One key thing that's overlooked in any education program, and especially DET, is how do you actually learn? So a lot of learners go, right, we're going to do self-study because it's the cheapest, but realistically, is that the best way you learn? Now, we think about how much you're going to save if you do self-study, but how much longer does it take you to learn if you're not actually learning to your potential and to your own specific styles as well? So, how do you learn? So we have our marking guides, study guides, and learner handbook. So the learner handbook is sort of your resources really. So you don't really need to go and buy any extra books or do any further research. We've actually collated it all and just chucked it in a big book for you, and you can go through it, and it's in the right order as well, so it's going to save you a lot of time. The marking guide is kind of the way that our tutors will assess your work. So what that means is before you submit your work, you can actually just double check, right, have I done this? Have I done that? It's all in there. It's all in clear black and white, what to expect and what to put into your own answers. And then there's the study guide as well. So within the study guide, this gives you a clear step-by-step instructions of how to actually complete the course as well. With it being a long qualification, so up to 2 years, there's a lot of content involved. So we walk you through each step. So it takes out any sort of guesswork, and it just gives you a clear order, clear structure of what to follow to get your qualification. We've also got the learning portal as well. So everything we do is not just a textbook like pretty much everyone else does. They just give you a PDF. Here you go, read this, and then go do some extra research as well to find any other missing bits. We give you an online portal. So if your learning style is visual or auditory, you can actually listen to the lessons. You can watch lessons. You can interact with PowerPoints. You have all the visual needs as well. So we're covering all different styles. And with that, you do have access to virtual learning as well. So you can just drop in at any time that you want to, and then just join any online class. So you can actually interact with your teacher, interact with your peers to help you learning. So don't feel like the self-study is, it's cheaper, it's going to be the best option. If it doesn't work for you, don't waste your money. And then we have our online Facebook community group. So you can interact with other learners, and you can also ask questions to the teachers and get a really quick response. Any areas that you're stuck on. So you don't need to wait until the morning for your tutor to answer. You've got it all there for you as well. And you've got your peers who are going to help you to overcome any mental blocks you may have to help you finish that qualification. So we've done a brief overview of the units. So you got the theories, principles and models in education and training. So this is all about the learning theory. So we're talking about things like Maslow, Balbin, Bandura. It's all covered in Module 1. So Module 1 is definitely the largest of the modules because there's so much theory in that. So it's for you to actually understand and apply the theories how you see best into your teaching. It helps to take your teaching to another level. Developing teaching, learning and assessment, education and training is another core module, and it's about you taking your teaching, learning and assessment to the next level by understanding core practices and again applying that to your own teaching. Module 3 is about teaching, learning and assessment in education and training. Now if you completed the AET or the CET, it takes the first module into a much more depth. So it's about analysing your role, analysing the role of others and how they all interact and relate to each other. Unit 4 is wider professional practice and development in education and training. And this module is about the legislation that impacts curriculum. So if you're involved in government funded training, we'll teach you the way the government is at the moment and the parties involved, how they impact training and the funding involved. We talk about the legislation which impacts your training. We talk about yourself or your own values, your organisation values and how that impacts training. We talk about stakeholders. So that could be the Department for Education, could be the Skills Funding Agency, it can be your own sector subject skills councils, and again how that impacts upon your curriculum. Then it goes into you evaluating your own practice and what you can do to overcome any potential issues that you find within your training programs and help you to come up with ways to make them better and more suitable for your learners. Equality and diversity is about recognizing the differences amongst your learners and also to help you to come up with strategies to create a fair approach to ensure everyone is treated the same. Well, not necessarily the same, but they're all treated equally. So they're all treated with the same fairness, the same opportunities to help them overcome their barriers. Again, this unit impacts upon how you can attract new learners in potential different regions and how you can overcome these barriers. Understanding and managing behaviours in the learning environment is one of the key modules, in my opinion. And a lot of trainers, when they complete education or any sort of training course, so they're not actually prepared to deal with any trouble in the classroom, which, as we're all aware, there will be some learners going to cause you issues. Now, if you're in an adult environment, so let's say you're teaching those who are in the workplace, for example, their employers have put them on the course, in a way, this is going to be challenging as well because some learners don't want to be there. So if they're not motivated to be there, how do you overcome? What strategies do you have in place to do so? Now, even on the teacher training courses, we still have challenging behaviours. So it's all about how you can manage them, ensure that your group works towards that common objective of finishing that course. And the idea is that you can deal with any potential problem behaviours before they do impact other people's learning. Delivering employability skills is not necessarily you going out and teaching, right, we're going to teach you CV writing, job skills. It's not what it's about. It's actually how you incorporate core skills that are needed for success in the workplace. So the difference between those who are in management roles and those who are potentially just working on the front line is those additional employability skills like leadership, problem solving that help them to take it to the next level. And it's all about how you can incorporate that into your training and make it realistic. The personal tutoring role is more so about you being a career and a guidance counsellor to help your learners to overcome any personal issues that they have. So it's not necessarily you being the tutor in that aspect. It's more so you being their support system to help them through their studies. So if you look at it from a university's perspective where you could be their tutor, you may not teach them, but you're there to support them to ensure they finish their degree. But you might also be in the role of a teacher as well. But it's just a case of how you can manage their personal issues to get them from A to B. Coaching is about learning the basics of coaching. So again, this is an independent level 4 qualification, but at the same time, it helps you to open up new career opportunities by you becoming a coach. Now, you might not necessarily want to be a coach at the moment, but it will offer new opportunities for you to coach later on as well. So it doesn't necessarily need to be within your subject. You might have your own personal specialisms, which you can go out and coaching others as well. And it's really good if you wanted to earn additional money in a different sector as well. And then we have mentoring. So preparing yourself for the mentoring role. It should be you looking at the level 5 diploma in education and training. You should be looking at giving back at some point in the future. And it's all about how to prepare you to ensure that your mentees, and this could be people in the workplace that you're teaching, again, it's preparing them for their role. And who better than someone who's been there and done that, supporting them through their studies and potentially mentoring them through their careers at the same time as well. If you're serious about teaching and wanting it as a career, then it's integral that you complete the principles and practices of internally assuring the quality of assessment. Now, you need to look at how you can improve the quality of assessment, and more importantly, it's actually doing the IQA process correctly. Now, working as an EQA, as the consultant, I see a lot of IQAs who just don't really know what they're doing at all, and they don't add any value to the training process. And what the IQA is about adding that value as well. So if you feel like, IQA, you just sign off paperwork at the end and that's it and submit it to your awarding body, that is just not enough. And actually it will show in the quality of the work. Now, the IQA is about the whole journey. So even going back to your initial assessments, are they being done correctly? Are they placed on the right program? The IQA looks at the whole system. It shouldn't just be independently the paperwork at the end, which a lot of training providers look at. The principles and practices of externally assuring the quality of assessment is an actual independent qualification as well at level 4. And this allows you to work as a EQA in an awarding body. And it's compulsory that you have this if you ever wanted to be a EQA. It's very similar to the IQA module, but you're looking at a lot of it from an EQA perspective rather than IQA. Identifying the learning needs of organizations. Now, This is about you going to corporate workplaces and conducting a learning needs analysis to determine how to bridge the gap between where they want to go and where they are now. So this could be skill shortages, and it could also be helping them to achieve new goals as well. Now, if you're ever involved in government funded training, you should be going out into workplaces and then trying to determine, right, how are these skills that we deliver or the course that we deliver, how are they going to address company needs? And this is what it's all about. And this is a good unit to complete because it does open up teaching in a more or in a wider area as well. So you can go into training organizations and offer this as a separate service as well. And again, as part of the full service, you can go in and identify these needs, then get paid to create training programs, and then get paid to deliver these training programs for them as well. So it really opens up new doors, new avenues for you if you're looking for extra work or extra money as well. So we have split the DET into 9 key tasks. So we start with the portfolio. So this is kind of the boring part where you have to complete all the theory, put it all together, then it leads into the other tasks as well. So there are 12 portfolios for you to complete. Now, once you've done your first core portfolios, you should then start to complete some initial assessments. So when you have learners, we're only looking for half a dozen here, so maybe 6 or so. So this might be an English and maths assessment, it might be ICT. The goal is for you to devise your own initial assessments, which will feed into the ILPs. So the ILPs is about you negotiating their goals. So from the initial assessments, are they placed on the right program? Then from here, you'll identify any sort of issues that you might have to complete the program, and then you'll set targets throughout. So if you're completing DET, you'll actually be set targets you complete in each module. And again, it's about you, what are your goals, and it's how you help them to become, or how you help them to achieve those goals as well. And with that, you need to continually check in, not a case of an ILP. You do it at the beginning of the course and you just leave it to the end. It's an ongoing process here. You'll also be required to complete a scheme of work, and the scheme of work only needs to be around 30 hours long for any sort of program that you deliver. Now, what you can do as well is that you can submit schemes of work from your current subjects as well. So it's really highly encouraged that you use your own work product stuff that you've already done, so you don't have to replicate the work anyway. Now, the key thing in the scheme work is that you must complete your scheme work, and there's additional criteria. So it's not a case of you, right, this is one I've written for one of my courses, here you go. You really need to add detail in this and how this meets individual needs, how this meets the awarding organization's needs, and any internal or external requirements that you can identify must go in your scheme of work. So once you complete your scheme of work, you'll be creating lesson plans or session plans based on your observed sessions. So you don't need to do 100, definitely not. You do need to go back into your scheme of work and then break down each session into more detail. So the scheme of work is more of an overall, where the session plan should allow any teacher to be able to follow your session plan with no problems at all. And we teach you through the main process of doing that as well. Now, the core part of the DET is for you to complete your teaching practice. So there's 100 hours of teaching practice you need to do. So you need to log these, and you can start logging your hours as soon as you sign up for the course. But only 8 of these need to be observed. Now, if you completed your CET, we can use a couple of those hours as well against that as well. So the key thing with your observations is any person that observes you must be at least qualified to level 5. So they must complete a diploma or higher. Now, you have the option here where you can use your own mentors and they can actually assess you and monitor you, or we can do this ourselves, and it's simply we stick our laptop in the corner of your room when you're teaching, and then there's someone who observes you live as you're teaching, and then we can ensure that you meet your learning outcomes that way as well. Now, throughout the course, especially you go through each module, there are work products you need to create. Now, what is really important about these work products is that they are meeting the needs of your learners. So you might need to adapt some of your handouts and your resources for different learners, potentially for learning disabilities. But the critical thing here is that you use whatever you've got as well. So again, you'll be given a list, right? You need to create this, you need to create that. And again, it's just a case of systematically working through and producing these resources, and ideally using these resources within your session plans and your teaching practice as well. Once you've completed your teaching observations, you need to reflect on your own teaching. There are 8 sessions, so you'll have 8 reflective accounts. Now, as part of your reflective accounts, it leads back into your portfolio. So if we are talking about theories, how do you apply learning styles? How do you apply Balbin? How do you apply Bandura and Maslow? And you'll talk about how you reflect within your own practice. Did you meet these? Did you or not? Why? And it's all about how you did or why you didn't do so. Then lastly, it's a learning needs analysis. So you will select an organization, or we can help support you with this, is you'll go into an organization, you'll kind of do an interview with them, where they want to be, how they're going to get there, and it's your job to come up with a strategy of how they can meet those goals. And that's sort of the 9 tasks throughout your DET. Now, the bonuses, which are really important here. Now, if you look at the coaching role, so the coaching role, the IQA and EQA, these are actually separate courses that retail for about £400 each as well. So actually, in a way, this program gives you double the amount for the money. Then if you look on the left-hand side, is we have some extra bonuses for you. So deliver an effective PowerPoint. Now, there's a reason this PowerPoint has been created the way it has. And we'll go into more detail on this, and we'll teach you how to create a PowerPoint that's effective, but not only effective, it looks decent, and at the same time, it meets needs of learners. Pretty much anyone who puts together a PowerPoint does so because it's pretty, but actually it needs to be functional, and we teach you how to do that. And then you have virtual learning. So virtual learning is a key thing now. It's going to be here, but so we need to do it properly. How do we engage learners? Because more often than not, I've sat on training courses online. I'm often browsing other sites because I'm bored. Now, again, we come up with strategies how to help you to overcome those issues and get your learners more engaged. And then there's designated safeguarding training, which is CPD accredited as well. So as a teacher, you should not only know about safeguarding, you should know the laws and legislation behind it and to meet Ofsted requirements. So it will enable you to become a designated safeguarding lead as well in your organizations. But the whole thing is to ensure that your learners are kept safe, and we teach you how to do so. Another thing that's overlooked is mental health training. We need to monitor our learners' mental health throughout the training program as well. So recognizing mental health issues that your learners may have, especially if you're working in a setting where there's vulnerable learners. Again, not only does it help you to recognize these, with the safeguarding training as well, it helps you to deal with them and where to signpost them to get the support that you need as well. Then if you look at learning disabilities, so we look at all the key learning disabilities such as ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and even things like autism. So we give you a toolbox of how to help those learners, and then also how to manage those learners in your classroom as well. Now, one thing that's really important, which no other training provider does, is the virtual learning classes. So it's very unlikely that everyone who signs up for our courses are preferring to read and write, and most of our learners don't do that anyway. So why do you learn in that way? And for us, it's not a case of, right, we give you PDFs, you just crack on, like a lot of other training providers do. And sadly, as training providers, they don't seem to understand that learners are more than just reading and writing, and that's really poor. So for us is that we feel you must have access to these virtual classes, and I don't want to charge you for these as well. So these are just thrown in, so you just drop in anytime that suits you to help you study in your own preferred methods as well. So if you want to just do self-study, that's great, that's fine, that's not a problem. But we really encourage you, especially those who are visual and those who like that interaction, to actually just pop in and just join any class that suits them. Then there's monthly payments. So to make life a lot easier, we don't charge you any sort of interest for that. Is you can split the diploma into 12 or 24 monthly payments, which helps you to manage your own cash flow. And obviously with energy costs, fuel costs and all that, it's really important that we can provide that support for you as well. So again, it allows you to get a qualification, but at the same time, it allows you to keep those payments down to help you keep a roof over your head as well. But realistically, you should be able to pay for the DET by just taking some extra work within your training centres anyway. Then also there's a repayment holiday. We're realistic where things do change. So we get a new career, life gets in the way, work gets really busy. We fully understand that. So if this happens, you just need to contact us and we're happy to delay any payments for 6 months. So you're not paying for something that you are not currently using. And again, this is quite useful and a lot of learners find this very handy. So they know they're not wasting money. It just supports them throughout the process. So your next steps from the level 5 DET. So you've got the level 5 DET, you've got the core modules and the bonus modules that really take it to the next level. Then it actually feeds into the level 6 teaching and learning program, which is like the equivalent of a university degree. A lot of the modules we do, and especially the bonus modules, they actually link really well into the level 6 teaching and learning. So with that, actually, if you do them combined, or if you go into the level 5 DET, then go on to the level 6, then we can use RPL, so we can transfer a lot of the stuff that you've done into the level 6, which makes the level 6 far easier. And in my opinion, level 6 is actually easier than a level 5 because you've got all the content from the level 5 you can just throw in as well. So again, it just speeds up, and a lot of learners complete the level 6 within 3 months because they've done the DET, and they can use a lot of stuff across from that as well. Now, the investment is to become a better trainer and provide better training is $12.95, which works out at £54 per month over 2 years and £1.80 per day, which is absolutely nothing in my opinion. If you really want to become a better trainer or provide better training, this is something you should be doing anyway. And it's not a case of, you know what, we'll do the level 3 and that's it. You should be continuously improving as a teacher, not necessarily just in your own subjects, but as an educator as well. If we look at 1295 as the initial investment, so all you need to do is teach 6 more courses over the next 2 years. It's not difficult. It's just you giving up 6 days over the course of 2 years to get your money back from this investment. And again, it will pay for itself over and over again anyway, so it's definitely worth the money. Now, if we break it down even further, it's $54 per month over 2 years, which again is the case of me not buying a pair of trainers or some clothes every month. It makes a massive difference. So you only need to teach 1 extra course every 4 months to cover the cost of the course as well. And again, £1.80 per day, which is the cost of half a coffee as well. So again, if you really want to take your training to the next level, become a better trainer, provide better training, improve your career prospects, earn more money, and get more qualified, then actually it's not really that bad investment. It's actually relatively cheap if you look at it. Now, you can do the level 5 diploma from other training providers for like £700, but again, as you pay for what you get as well. So for me, if I'm really serious about becoming a better trainer and providing better training, I would much rather pay for quality education rather than the cheapest. Again, why are they cheap? Because they don't provide you any support. They don't give you any learning materials in the right formats for you. They'll just give you a PDF, and they're really known for doing this. They'll give you a PDF to cover some of the modules, and they say, right, here are the books you need to go and buy as well. So it's not really £700. You've got all those books you need to pay for as well. So you don't really need to do that with the DET with us, is that it's all included. We might advise you to go on particular websites to help you with a bit more research, but we will give you pretty much everything that you need as well. Now, the next steps you need to do is complete our teaching assessment quiz. So this quiz helps you to determine where you are now and where you are against Ofsted's teaching requirements as well. So again, it helps you to identify where you could improve, and it'll give you some tips of how you can get instant wins to take your teaching practice up to the next level as well. And with these teaching assessments, these 14 key criteria is what we use to benchmark you from the start. So your first teaching practice, right, so you'll monitor yourself against the 14 key criteria. Then once you finish the program, you'll monitor yourself again. You'll reflect of the progress that you made throughout the program. And every learner that we've had progresses significantly, especially if they're honest in their assessment. So if you're ready to invest in your own career and take the next steps, then contact us now.